Welcome into NBA Now by Chat Sports. Coming your way on today's show, a mailbag where I take all of your questions and you get to join the conversation and share any basketball thoughts that you have. This is why you subscribe to the channel by hitting that red sub button down below so that you too can join our shows and be a part of the movement here at Chat Sports. We kick off this mailbag with this one coming in from Brad Winchester. More likely to make an impact on the Celtics, Noah Vonleh or Bruno Caboloco? So I think it's Noah Vonleh. I don't think that Bruno is going to make the roster. Noah Vonleh, former lottery pick out of Indiana. Obviously, his NBA career didn't work out. Had a couple of flashes from time to time with the New York Knicks. You thought, okay, he's going to be able to carve out a spot in the rotation. But for a guy who didn't play at the NBA level last year and did play for the Shanghai Sharks, I don't expect him to really make the roster, nor do I expect Bruno to make this roster. This is a Celtics team that is so deep coming off that trip to the NBA Finals, and they added Danilo Gallinari. They traded for Malcolm Brogdon. Celtics have one of the best rosters in the NBA. You don't really need Vonleh or Bruno on that squad. The basketball GOAT tuned in from Australia. Shout out to all of the Aussies out there. Where do you think that Paolo, Chet Holmgren, and Jabari Smith will end up in their careers? I'm working hard on the content as well. You guys are too. Great work. Basketball GOAT, pretty sure we exchanged Twitter DMs. Now that I know that you're from Australia, hit me up on Twitter at Chase_Senior. Producer Coop, you can pop that L3 up if you can. Hit me up, and if you're working on some content on your own YouTube channel because you're from Australia and I've been there many times because I have family there, hit me up. I'd like to help you out and hop on one of your shows. But talking about these rookies here, where do Paolo, Chet, Jabari stack up? Jabari Smith was my number one overall prospect on my big board. A little bit raw and unrefined in the NBA Summer League, but I just see elite traits across the board, especially defensively. Literally all he has to do is develop his handle. That's something that he can work on. I think he has freakish talent, and I like the body. Paolo, NBA-ready game. I think he might be the most impactful rookie of these three. Could be a really good player down the road. Has a little bit of Chris Webber and Carmelo Anthony in his game. And for Chet Holmgren, the ability is there. He has tantalizing potential. The only worries I have about Chet Holmgren, it's the body. And how does he hold up throughout the rigors of an NBA season? Chualor, do you think that James Wiseman will be healthy? And should the Golden State Warriors sign Dwight Howard? I think James Wiseman will be healthy. At least the health checked out in the NBA Summer League. I thought he looked good in those 4 games. Protected the rim, ran the floor well, hit a couple of mid-range jumpers. I thought that lefty stroke was really smooth. Hit a couple of threes as well when he was left vacant from the outside. James Wiseman is so gifted and the most talented big that this Warriors franchise has had throughout this run. So I hope that he can stay healthy because it just makes a well-clicking unit even better. And should the Warriors sign Dwight Howard? Why not for a cheap price? To back up Kevon Looney and James Wiseman, I'd be down for Dwight Howard coming to the Bay Area as a third-string center. Yeah, he can still play, rebound the basketball, block shots, and give you veteran leadership and some defensive tenacity. Now, we've been talking a lot about LeBron James recently here at Chat Sports because if he doesn't re-sign with the Los Angeles Lakers, he could go to another team in 2023 NBA free agency. So because LeBron James has been on our minds, he is a top blank player of all time. Embrace debate. It is a classic debate, and let me know right now. Move ahead with this one from Slammin' Sixer. I like the name. What's the latest on my boy Tyrese Maxey, and how do you see him doing this year? So Sam Cassell, assistant coach for Philadelphia, who I actually think could step in really well for Doc Rivers if Doc Rivers were to be on the hot seat, if he were to get fired and let go. I think that Sam Cassell would be a very good option to take over for Doc Rivers as a future head coach in this league. And he raved about Tyrese Maxey very recently, that this guy is making all the right strides. Sam Cassell also complimented himself and said, every guard and every player that I develop, they end up getting better. And we've been able to see that with Maxey in his first 2 years. The jump that he made from year 1 to year 2 was flat out sensational. Last year in the playoffs, he was one of the best three-point shooters, and his three-point stroke and the numbers there from his rookie to sophomore campaign got even better. The game slowed down. I think he has defensive potential. Tyrese Maxey has all-star written all over him. In fact, I want to see him take yet another step with the Sixers this upcoming season and become more of a go-to offensive player alongside Joel Embiid. If you have that two-man game working between Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, and then James Harden and Tobias Harris are the other offensive options, that's when I think the Sixers are at their best. And Tyrese Maxey, he has that ability to break the defense down and bail you out, something that the Sixers prior to last year really missed, and Maxey gave that unit. Ball out 347. Should the Warriors sign Andre Iguodala, can Jonathan Kuminga or James Wiseman become a star? It all comes down to whether or not Andre Iguodala wants to continue his NBA career. If he does, the Warriors, according to reports, have this roster spot vacant and left open for Andre Iguodala, who's been a great player for this Warriors team for a really long time. He's been a part of the equation that's helped lift them to 4 NBA championships, 2015 NBA Finals MVP, very good defender throughout his prime. He's not there anymore. And per night, he can give you 5 to 10 minutes. But as a guy who has a basketball junkie type of mentality, for a guy who loves the game, who doesn't want to be a coach but can be a player coach now while his playing career continues, I'd be okay with Andre Iguodala coming back as the last man on this bench. You can certainly do worse. And he can help you through film study, on the bench, as kind of a voice in Steve Kerr's ear, and as a pretty good practice player as well. He's admitted that his body's starting to break down, so he doesn't have a lot left, but Andre Iguodala, he certainly still has value. Now, if you want to get a Warriors jersey, you can do that. If you want to get a jersey for any team in the NBA, you can do that. All 30 teams available if you head to chatsports.com/NBA jerseys. I'll put that link in the comment section and the description of this video. These jerseys, by the way, coming from Fanatics, Steph Curry, Jason Tatum. You want a LaMelo Ball jersey, he just changed his number so that you can get that at chatsports.com/NBA jerseys as well. It's the summertime, and rocking a basketball jersey by the pool is always a good look. No matter how old you are, you're always looking swaggy. So get hooked up today. Some really good deals available in the middle of the summer. Chatsports.com/NBA jerseys. Jarrell tuned in from the Philippines. Can the Warriors sign both Wiggins and Jordan Poole with the new contract? Shout out here from the Philippines. They can. I think that Joe Lacob is aggressive, and I think that Joe Lacob is willing to spend on this team. This is what he's done over the last several years. And in this Joe Lacob era, they've been able to win 4 championships, and they've been in the luxury tax quite often. So if they have to go into the tax once again to pay Andrew Wiggins and Jordan Poole with the new deal, I believe he will. What gets interesting here for Golden State, are they also willing to give Draymond Green a max deal? If they sign all 3, they'll be at $400 million in payroll, which no team has ever come close to. But again, if you're selling out the arena, if you're selling jerseys, if you're driving revenue, driving a profit, and the Warriors continue to contend for NBA championships, you're getting that money back and you're still making a profit, even if you're in the luxury tax. And for Joe Lacob and this organization, that is all that matters, raising up more championship hardware. Evan Hinders, Bulls trade a first and Coby White from Mike Conley and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. So a first and Coby White to unload him for Mike Conley and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, I don't think I'd do it. I think that Mike Conley is kind of done. And he's become more and more of a inefficient offensive player whose injury issues have also been a little bit of a concern over the last several years. So I wouldn't trade for Mike Conley. Now, Coby White for another piece, maybe a 3-and-D guy. I'd like that to bulk up what needs to be a better defense for Chicago if they have any hopes of making a deep playoff run. Lemon Pepper Lou, is this Lou Williams? Would the Lakers or Warriors consider signing Kristaps Porziņģis, Chris Middleton, or Harrison Barnes next year? So all 3 are set to be free agents in 2023. For the Lakers, I don't think you go Kristaps Porziņģis. You already have Anthony Davis, right? So why move off one injury-prone big for another in Kristaps? Chris Middleton would be interesting in a lineup with LeBron James as well as Anthony Davis, that's for sure, playing at that wing spot as a guy who can kind of get his shot off from anywhere on the floor. Harrison Barnes, 3-and-D guy who gives you more than that, as a guy who can kind of put the ball on the floor a little bit and is a championship-level ingredient piece. I'd like that. Harrison Barnes, Chris Middleton, Kristaps Porziņģis going to the Warriors. Financially, I don't think it's all that realistic, but we know that players take discounts to go to the Dubs, and the Warriors will welcome anybody when it comes to trying to chase a championship, but look, the Warriors are in a position right now where they're trying to retain some of their own players, and they're going to have to give big contracts to Wiggins, Poole, Draymond, so I don't think they're going to prioritize signing any of those guys right there. A lot of investigations with tampering, by the way, going on in the NBA right now with the Philadelphia 76ers, the New York Knicks / Dallas Mavericks in that pursuit of Jalen Brunson. Do you think that tampering in the NBA matters? M for matters, WC for who cares. I'm filing my WC because I frankly don't care at all, and tampering happens at every business level in the world. Sad Mavs fan. Top 2023 NBA free agents. Well, Mavs fan, you must be sad because the Mavs hasn't really done anything up to this point. As for the top 2023 NBA free agents, put together a list of 30 players who could be free agents in 2023. Of course, this doesn't include player options because those opt-outs haven't happened, as well as contract extensions. So these are basically potential free agents. Some of these guys unrestricted, others restricted free agents, player options. So keep that in mind as we take a look at this list. It is a loaded list of names. LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, Draymond Green, James Harden, Andrew Wiggins, Chris Middleton, Fred VanVleet, those POs standing for player options. RFA for DeAndre Hunter. He's going to be a restricted free agent. Vooch, also an unrestricted free agent. Christian Wood, Miles Turner, Tyler Hero, a restricted guy. Those are like the starter tier. Before that was the elite tier. This is the tier of quality starters who will be available on the 2023 free agency market. D'Angelo Russell entering a critical year, going into the final year of his deal. R.J. Barrett, I think the Knicks want to keep him, and they might have to keep him if they don't trade him for Donovan Mitchell. Jeremy Grant, Harrison Barnes, Bojan Bogdanovic, Kyle Kuzma with the player options. Same with Kristaps Porziņģis, Jordan Poole, restricted free agent. And then the key ingredient free agents. These are guys who are important pieces on a championship team. Bogdanovic, Al Horford, Seth Curry, he could rise up these ranks for sure. P.J. Washington, Karis LeVert, Kevin Porter Jr., Reggie Jackson, Russell Westbrook, Steven Adams, and Dylan Brooks. And then more key ingredients: Brandon Clark, Brook Lopez, Matisse Thybulle, Jay Crowder, Cam Johnson, Josh Hart, Nasir Little, Jacob Poeltl, Gary Trent Jr., and Will Barton. So you kind of got the sense there. It's a mouthful, and it is a deep and lengthy list stockpiled with some really, really quality players who will headline that 2023 NBA free agency class. Among that group, who do you think is the best free agent? It's going to be the final question in our mailbag, so let us know right now.